But let's go over to our NRL tips and picks for the week. We do our tips and picks each week at the JBK Show over on YouTube. You can check out our picks at Picklebet as well over on Instagram. Nick, some big games this week. I'm slowly catching up.
I was ahead by 6. You outscored me by 2, so I've only got a 4-point
Between
lead.
myself, you, and our dad, Rich, our tips, the loser of this tournament has to get a full body wax, 40-year-old virgin style. So a lot riding on the line here between some hairy Lebanese men. First game, Thursday night, Storm versus the Broncos.
At Amy Park.
Huge.
Broncos are in form. They're playing really well.
Yeah.
But I expect the Storm to turn it around. I've taken the Storm here. Just picking them based on Melbourne being in Melbourne and Craig Bellamy not losing back-to-back games, I'll take Melbourne.
I'm going to take Melbourne as well. I don't like to bet against Melbourne. And again, Broncos are in form. But Melbourne at Amy Park, I think they want to have a strong showing. They were very disappointing over in Magic Round. So I'm going to take Melbourne here as well. And I think Richard's taken the Broncos. Bulldogs versus the Warriors. This is tough.
This is tough.
But it is at a core stadium.
The Warriors, I think they've got their winger out, Kosi, with a knee injury. The Bulldogs are looking good. Josh Adokar is a big in. He's back, wanting to perform well so he can make the Origin team. So I expect a big game from Adokar. I think the Bulldogs having a home game, coming off a disappointing loss last week against Canberra, they're desperate for a win. I'm going to take the Bulldogs here, not confidently because the Warriors have been a surprising team this year and a good team. But I'll take the Bulldogs here for a close win.
Josh Adokar is going to be playing like a man on a mission over the next 3 rounds because he wants to solidify his spot in the Origin team. If he doesn't make the Origin team this year, I think that's his representative career over, depending on how the wingers perform. But I kind of want to see him there. I want to see him have a big shine because when he wasn't injured, I think he was a lock for an Origin wing spot. So but for this game, again, every time I tip against the Warriors, the Wars fans, they blow up over on social media. So this week, I'm giving in. I'm picking the Warriors this week. I think the way that they've been playing, they've stepped it up this season. The coaching's been excellent. They've got some quality players. As much as it hurts me to go against my Bulldogs, I'm taking the Warriors. Richard's taking the Bulldogs. Panthers versus the Roosters on Friday night.
Another tough game. Roosters need to bounce back, but Penrith, you can't bet against them. I understand the Roosters are looking to turn it around, turn their season around.
Not with the form that they're in and the indecisiveness that they've had over the last few rounds. Again, I'm going Penrith as well. I think they're going to be too strong.
I think Penrith will be too good. My dad's taken the Roosters here. I just think he's trying to go against the grain, catch up on tips.
Yep, we've got Cowboys, Dragons. Now, the Dragons have stayed in Queensland after Magic Round. You'd think Anthony Griffin would have been sacked by now, but I think they're just waiting for him to touch back down in Sydney, and they'll hand him his papers.
What's so stupid is they lost last week to the Tigers of all teams, and they've picked the same 17 that played last week. You think, just based off last week alone, they looked best when Ben Hunt was at 9 and O'Sullivan was playing halfback. You think they would start the game. They could still start the game that way, but Anthony Griffin, it's like you're trying to get fired.
Yeah.
Help yourself out, mate. Put Ben Hunt to hooker and let your team play their best footy. But, Cowboys coming off a big win. It's Cowboys all around here.
I think Anthony Griffin's thrown in the towel. I'm going with the Cowboys. It looks like they're going to get back to their best, and Magic Round could be the turning point for their season. Now let's look over to the Rabbitohs versus the Tigers at a core stadium.
This is an easy one. Look, as much as it was a miracle that they beat Penrith and that they beat the Dragons, they're not going 3 in a row. I'm sorry, Tigers fans. Rabbitohs are the most informed team in the comp, and they'll continue winning here.
Too strong, minor premiership favourites. Everyone's going Rabbitohs there. The Raiders versus the Eels at GIO Stadium in Canberra. No Mitchell Moses for the Eels, which is huge.
I've had a late change here.
Yeah.
I didn't know Mitch Moses was going to be out because of that stupid 11-day rule. But I'm taking Canberra here just because Mitch Moses not playing.
For the safety of the players, Nick.
Yeah, but I want to see him play.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure if he had the option to play as well, he'd say he'd want to play.
Yeah.
Especially for a pivotal game in your season where, Eagles are starting to get a bit of good footy going and they need to win to keep their spot in the 8 alive. But Canberra's 4 in a row.
Do you think the 11-day rule's a bit too much from the NRL?
It's a bit too much, yeah. I mean, what do you really... Has it been scientifically proven that if you get 2 concussions in 11 days, you're gonna die?
Are we the only code that does this 11-day rule?
I think
when it comes to a concussion?
I think the NFL has some strict concussion rules, but that's because Will Smith ruined their sport.
Well, you got to also think that there's not that many car crash collisions like there are in NRL games.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit much, especially for... There should be degrees of head knocks. If you get totally blacked out, where you're like Victor Radley, having a seizure on the field, maybe miss 11 days. But if you cop a light little head knock and you foul a HIA, just,
Okay. What about the Knights versus the Titans?
This is another tough one. Newcastle coming off the bye. The Barley boys.
Yeah, fresh
They should
tats done over in Bali.
They should be relaxed.
Exactly.
But the Titans are the better team. They had a great win last week, so I'll take the Titans here. Not confident, but I'll take the Titans.
I'll take the Titans as well. Dad's going with Newcastle. Manly versus Sharks at Brookvale. Mind you, Turbo wants to start switching it on before Origin kicks off.
Yeah, he wants to make a statement, though. I just think the Sharks, because they lost last
Coming
week,
off that loss.
it was embarrassing. You got to tip them to win here. Manly, if Josh Schuster's still not playing, I think he's rumoured that he might play. I think he's on the 17, 18 interchange bench. But if he's not playing, I can't tip Manly here. They just don't have the talent to overcome a talented team like the Sharks, so I'll take the Sharks.
Richard's taken Manly. I'm taking the Sharks as well. Again, Nico Hine really wants to ramp up his performance and really solidify his spot as the number 6, which I think he'll get picked as. And the Dolphins have the bye. Instead of going over to Bali like last week's Newcastle Knights when they had the bye, they're going over to PNG.
Are they
They're going to
really?
help grow the game over there, which is very admirable from them. And that's how you do the bye round if you're not going to, train like NRL players should be. But that's our tips and picks for the round.